has speakers come in all the time. These are inspiring entrepreneurs, engineers who are influential in their fields. One of the speakers we had come in is the CTO of a company called Particle, which produces microcontrollers that are connected to Wi-Fi and 4G. This particular speaker actually spent a great deal of time working with Danny, explaining how the particle photon works. And when you have the CTO of a company speak with you personally for an hour, you can't not use their technology. So Danny actually integrated this into his system for the omnidirectional robot, and he'll show you exactly how it works.
Okay. Hello, my name is Danny. I'm a rising freshman at UC Riverside. And for my STAR project, I made a big time watch. So it was basically a watch and I just soldered on all the parts to it. I didn't have to do any coding or anything. And this is my main project, the intensive project. I made an omnidirectional robot. I chose this project because I wanted to make a drone, but then drones are dangerous, and this is the next best thing. So this is how it works. It used to run on Arduino, now it's running on a Photon. So I made a HTML app, and it's a joystick. So when I move this, it'll move the robot. So as you can see. So come back. And it's omnidirectional, so I can go to the side and anywhere. Alright. Okay. So that's how it works. So the hardware that makes this work, it is all the motors. So the Photon sends coordinates right here through the joystick. So basically, I'll get some coordinates and then it'll send it to here, and it'll run the code, and then the code would set the speed for each of the wheels. So the Photon only runs on 3.3 volts to 6 volts, and I have a 7.4 volt battery, so that doesn't work. So I have to learn how to use a regulator. That took a while. There are some challenges I had to face. The biggest challenge I had to face was how to make the website, because I never knew any HTML website design or any of the language, which is like JavaScript and all those. So I had trouble with that. What else make this work? Basically, the Photon's the main component. It's like the brain of the operation. I send it signals, and then it'll just move it on any direction I want. So another big obstacle I was faced with was before I switched to a Photon, I had the Arduino, but I didn't know how to make it omnidirectional. I could make it move in one direction and the other. So at first I could only make it move forward and backwards, but left and right was pretty hard because these wheels are placed specifically in a triangle, like an equilateral triangle. That's where I got the idea for making the chassis. So I placed it in the equilateral triangle of the inside one. So I made a smaller equilateral triangle, and I just placed it basically at all the points. So the modifications I did was switching it to a Photon. I wanted to do that because the Arduino was pretty limited. I was using a PlayStation 2 controller. Like Alex, he had a PlayStation 2 controller. He was controlling mine, so that didn't work out. And when I switched it, it was an easy process, but then I realized that I would need new controls because the joystick, I used the PS2 controller, so I need new controls. At first, I started off using buttons, HTML written buttons, so each time if I click forward, it'll move forward, but then it'll send me feedback, and then I don't want that. I don't want feedback. It'll take me out of the page with the buttons, and then I would have to go back for it. So then I switched to JavaScript buttons, which took 4 days just to write one button. I had a hard time making those. And the hardest thing was sending the data from the buttons to the Photon. You get like access, and you have to use the API and all of that, which was pretty complicated. So after the JavaScript buttons, I would still want to make it mobile, like actually on phone, but then I can only use the buttons on my computer, which runs it using Chrome. So I found a JavaScript joystick online, and I made it send the signals to the Photon, and that's how it works. So while I joined Bluestamp, I felt that Bluestamp could offer me something I've never done before, because before this, I didn't know anything about engineering. I even took a pathway at my school, which was health, so I know CPR, but then I don't know anything about wiring these. And at first I was really excited. Like, I don't know what Arduino is, I don't know what like motors are. I can't see them work, but I don't know how they work. And like everything was new, but then after this, I learned that even if it's new, even if you never learned it, you still have to start somewhere. So like, I'm glad I started here and I learned a lot, and this was a good experience. Thank you. Do you have any questions? Yes?
So how do the web page and the Photon communicate? Does Photon have their own servers that you talk to?
Yes. So Photon has its own cloud. So then basically the way I thought about how it works was like, if I send something up there, then it's going to communicate with the Photon, and that's how it works. So it sounded so easy. In my head, I was like, it's going to be super easy. I'm just going to send something up and it's going to like work. So you have to go through a lot of barriers, I say. So I had to make sure I had the device ID, so the name of the device. I had to make sure I had the access token, so I should actually like have access to the cloud. And earn that, basically, I wrote a script where if I press this button, it would use the access tokens and the ID, so it will send specifically to there, and then the Photon just pick it up and then just run the code.
When you were only able to make it go forward and backwards, how did you make it so it could go in 360 degrees?
So that, I made it forward and backwards with the, wait, do you mean when I did it with the Photon or the Arduino?
Like, were there any techniques that you specifically used where you were able to make it kind of move in a complete circle rather than just in an axis?
So for that, I basically wrote a code where each of the wheels will spin at the same rate, so then it'll just move in a circle. Is that what you meant, or?
Did you use like trigonometry or something to figure out how to map out?
Omnidirectional?
Yeah.
So I did that with the Arduino code, and I just shifted it onto the Photon. So for the Arduino code, I had to look into references from all the past students, because I saw it, I didn't know how it worked. It was basically using cosine, sine, and like cotangent, all those, arctangent. So I was like, I don't know this. But then I started testing their code, see if it works, and then basically with Mantis help, I was able to make the code actually convert the coordinates from the joystick to speed of the wheel, so that it could actually be omnidirectional.
Did you learn enough to make a drone now?
I think it would work if I add, rope motors and they actually have the wings. So I feel like it could work, but then it's still dangerous. These wheels spin super fast, and if I let one of those loose, it might fall off. Okay. But I'll work up to it.
I think you really learned how to be tenacious and not give up.
Yeah. With the omnidirectional code, like to make the coordinates actually move, that was the hardest part. I spent a really long time on that. But after I got that, I could like just transfer the code from here to other places. Like Arduino has its own IDE, which is a place where you could just put the code and it'll upload it. Photon has a it's a newer product, so then all the communities are pretty new, so I had a hard time trying to figure out what they actually use. So in Juno, I had a serial monitor, so basically if I send it something, I could see it on my computer. So while I was doing the Photon, I didn't know there was a serial monitor, so I was doing it blind. Yeah, so after a couple days ago, I learned that there is a serial monitor, so I got that, and then that really helped. But it worked without a serial monitor, so